Hello, welcome to Informative Conversations podcast show. My guest today is Dr. Sherry Y. Smith. Dr. Smith is a published author and avid Harley motorcycle rider who owns the personal finance website, alifeoffinancialfreedom.com. I invited Dr. Smith to be my guest today for us to talk about finances, especially during this season. Hello, Dr. Smith.
Hello, Jacqueline. How are you?
I'm great. Welcome to the show, and thank you for accepting my invitation.
Thank you for asking me. I am very honored to be on your podcast. I can't wait for all the juicy stuff we're going to talk about. I love talking about money.
I know you do, and I've been able to watch you apply what you learn and share what you learn. So I'm wanting the same thing for my listeners. So before we get into it, just give us a little bit of a quick summary, a little background about you.
I am a single mother of one grown adult. I do a yearly summit called Side Hustle to Wealth Summit, where we are empowering women and others to learn, invest, and build their personal wealth. I am also a published author of a couple of books, including a children's book summit, and just here to share whatever knowledge I can about personal finance. A lot I've learned from my own personal ups and downs.
Okay. So, then one of the questions I want to just jump right in and get to is I want to talk about how finances have made a difference or what we can do about finances, especially during this, I want to say post-COVID, let's just say after 2020. Talk about that.
I would say that one of the things you should really work on right now, if COVID, as they say, has taught us anything, is to have your financial house in order. If it wasn't in order before, if you were lacking certain things, even which I still am, you really want to work on getting it together. You want to make sure that, you have an emergency fund. Oh my gosh, if you're able to now, if you have a small emergency fund, some people say from 3 months to 6 months, find ways to, even if you have to get a little side hustle so that you can increase your emergency fund, because whether or not you want to admit it, emergencies are going to happen. If there's debt you can eliminate, you want to start working on that, boost your savings more. Make more money. Making more money might include, maybe you love your job. It might include negotiating a salary increase. There are so many ways to make more money in this day and age with the internet. One of the other things you want to do is put your bills on auto pay if you can. For me, Jacqueline, that was a game changer, because I remember when I would be at a ball game, whatever, and I go, oh my God, did I pay my utility bill? Once I started putting my bills on auto pay, game changer. It took that worry away, and even those occasional late fees away. And through all of this, you want to continue or start, you want to invest in yourself. Invest in your own self. That might be learning a new skill, taking a course, going to the library, checking out some books on a topic you're interested in, or financing. You want to get your financial blueprint in order. That's the one thing that COVID should have taught all of us, in addition to being safe, of course.
So I want to touch on a few things you said there. You said emergency funds, building it from 3 to 6 months. And this is true. That's one of the things that a lot of us have known this for years, but this brought it to more of a demand. Mm-hmm. But if you're already, because so many people were already struggling. In other words, you have to have money to be able to save money. And if you're already living from paycheck to paycheck, which so many people were even before this pandemic, mm-hmm. what do you do? And I know you said side hustle, and that's one of the things I want you to bring up too, is because I know you are a side hustle queen. You have books about side hustles. I want you to share some of those things and talk about how you make money, how to save when you don't have.
Okay, so Jacqueline, can I back up a minute? Because you
Yeah.
just mentioned, well, hey, people are already struggling. What if they're starting from the struggle?
Okay.
Look for programs that are available in your area. Here, I'm in Los Angeles. There are so many programs here. They also the federal government. There's and you know, don't let pride get in the way of staying afloat and helping yourself and your family. People, come on now. I mean, that's what we pay taxes for. So take advantage of that. And I'm going to speak about here in LA whenever COVID was going on. There were grants you could apply for. There were utility credits you could apply for. But there's even in research stuff in your area because it's different for every single city and every state. Google and find out about resources in my neighborhood, COVID resources. And whenever it was going on, I was telling a lot of people, hey, well, have you applied for this? Have you applied for that? Information is not going to always just come to you. You have got to be proactive and find what's out there for you. We're in America, there is stuff out there to help you. And especially when we were in the really midst of COVID, which we still are, but before we had the vaccines and all that, there's programs, so many programs available. Okay. And it's all about, doing a little research. Ask your friends, ask your neighbors. There's help out here.
And one of the things I wanted to add to that is there is help out here. But everyone is not computer savvy. And so we must keep in mind to help our neighbors or help our friends or even some of our family members. Sometimes we have to hold their hands. Sometimes we have to do the work for them. I know one neighbor one friend that was making an adjustment, and it was intimidating to her. When she called them, they told her to go on her laptop and to do it. It was a little intimidating to her. I sat with her with what we thought was going to be 30 minutes turned into 2 hours, but it was worth it. In the end, I heard her say, "Thank you. I never could have done it without you." And that made me feel like it was worth every minute that I spent with her. And so I just want us to remember that there are some people out there that everybody's not computer savvy.
True. That's why it's important to reach out to organizations in your community. My aunt taught me years ago, bless her soul, rest in peace, that whenever you need information like we're talking about, contact your commissioners, contact your local politicians. They have representatives there that your state rep, contact your government sources that our money is paying for. Don't hesitate to pick up that phone. So even if you're not computer literate, you can still get help. I can't stress it enough. There are programs out here to help.
And another good source too is your church. And it doesn't even have to be your church, but just churches in your neighborhood, churches in your community. They are there all year round. And I have seen them do food drives, and you just lift your truck, the trunk of your car, and they put lots of food in the car for you. And I love one of the things you said initially, don't be prideful. Don't be prideful. And that's very important. So I want you to tell just some of the side hustles that I know you can find a host of them on your website, but tell my listeners about some of them.
I will say that my most lucrative side hustle has been that of an Airbnb host. And that Airbnb, if you haven't heard of it, you are under a rock somewhere, but Airbnb is sharing your home or renting out your entire home. And a lot of people like to do that versus going to a hotel because it's a more personal experience. You get to celebrate the culture You get to celebrate the area that you're in and live like a local. So that has been my most lucrative side hustle. And I've been doing Airbnb for about 6 years now. And it's amazing. It's like the entire world is coming to your doorstep. And some of the other side hustles, I do work as a social media strategist. I go through your different social media, create assets or posts for them, tell you what can help, where you can improve at. I do that. I also have a couple of books I've written, which are available on Amazon. And one is a children's book series that I hope and pray that will come an animated series one day soon.
All right.
I also do consulting work. I am a distinguished Toastmaster, which is the highest honor you can get in Toastmasters. So I've had a few people contact me about doing consulting work with them as a speaker. I have also done speaker work myself to bring in additional income. Just a whole host of stuff. I've done surveys. That's one thing that I love doing. That's where my last survey I made for 2 hours, $250. I was actually in Las Vegas and I called into the virtual meeting. So for 2 hours, and it was such a fascinating call. It was all women. So for 2 hours, they were asking our opinions on different things pertaining to finance. And I got paid $250 for that. So I love doing surveys. It's not something you can do to make a living out of, but it's a nice way to make a little side money, which I used to use for play money. Now I'll stash it away in my emergency fund or, invest it or more things. And the thing is, Jacqueline, I also do Poshmark, which is where you sell used clothing or new clothing that you don't use online. And somebody said, oh, well, have you really made any money in Poshmark? You never know where something is going to lead you. During COVID, we couldn't take stuff to the Salvation Army. So I said, hey, I'm going to see if I can sell some stuff on Poshmark. So I ended up selling some things. I became an ambassador. That's where you do a certain amount of sales. And I was on Poshmark during the time that they decided to go public, New York Stock Exchange. So I was able to, because I was a Poshmark ambassador, I was able to purchase stock before it went public. The same thing happened to me with Airbnb.
Oh, wow.
So you just never know where a side hustle or extra income might take you.
But the good thing is to do it. That's the thing about it. Not just hear about it, but to do it.
Take action. Jacqueline, let's talk about if you're an author and you have books or a single book, you can turn that book into so much content that can end up generating money. If it's a hardcover book, you can turn it into different book formats. It can become an ebook. It can become an audio book. You can create a masterclass from the information that's in there. You can do speaking gigs from the information that's in there. You can become a consultant. You can even create a coaching program from your book. You can create short videos. You can create a mastermind program. If you have a membership program, you can even create different learning modules that go within the membership. And I use my book to post to different sites like medium.com, to Instagram, to Facebook, to Pinterest, to LinkedIn. You can pull pieces from your book to just do so many different posts on social media. And that's a good way to continue to brand yourself. On the website, if you have a website, you can put affiliate ads, which are links, into your website and generate money like that. There's just an unlimited array in this day and age of ways to make money.
And all that from one book. Oh, that's good. Hello, listeners. Last year, I was introduced to the most profound health technology in the world today, redox cell signaling molecules. Redox signaling molecules are native to our bodies. Every 10 years, we make about 10% less of these molecules. For the first time ever, we can refuse, replenish, and restore ourselves with more of these powerful molecules, helping our bodies move towards health and vitality. To learn more about the most significant health breakthrough that exists today and discover why people are feeling better, why athletes are performing better, and why people are beginning to look younger, visit our website, www.informativeconversations.com, and provide your contact information. And now back to Informative Conversations podcast. One of the things that you told me about, we always know that you should pull your credit report once a year, but tell my listeners what's going on with the free credit reports now since this COVID.
Yes, because of COVID, there was so much fraud going on that the government passed it where instead of you being able to get your credit report once a year or twice a year, and this has been extended from April of this year till April of 2022. You can pull your credit report every single week if you desire. You want to pull it to make sure that, there's no discrepancies, that there's no identity theft, anything like that. But you can pull your credit score from the three bureaus. That's TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. And that's annualcreditreport.com. They put that in place. They extended it one more year through April of 2022. So that's a great way to stay on top of your finances or start staying on top of them. Pull a credit report from all three of the bureaus.
Okay. Oh, that's good. Another one. So I noticed that student loan repayment has been postponed, I believe, until January 2022.
Yes.
So, we're talking about saving money, but how would you advise someone to plan for future payments?
Student loans, the vein of my existence. I have that word doctor in front of my name, and I have a big student loan that I'm hoping to get wiped out. But yes, they did not expand it. Now they put it on hold through, like you said, January of 2022. For me, I would suggest that do not think that January is not that far away. This is September. We're almost about to go into October, which is probably what it will be when everybody's hearing this. So you want to be proactive in your approach to this student loan thing. There are different ways. Go ahead and prep now for how you're going to start paying that loan back. There's one that's really popular is the income repayment program. So that's based on what your income is and how much you can pay. So go ahead, whoever you have that student loan with, go ahead and, call them now and say, hey, is there anything that I can put into place for when I have to start paying in January? Because again, it's going to be here sooner than later. So you want to be proactive in that. Hey, if you get a side hustle or throw some money at it. I know that, and there's also different programs, forgiveness programs, and that's something that you have to figure out based on what you do. Maybe your job, just check out, give them a call and see what your options are, because you do have some options.
Okay. And I want to move to something else. I want to talk about what advice would you give people who are being evicted from their homes? Now, some people I've talked with, they have applied for assistance, but they've not received funding from their state government. And our in the state that I'm in, the programs for these people wasn't supposed to end until September. I mean, the other assistance that they were receiving, but our government felt as if the people weren't going to work, and so they stopped the program. And what do you say to those people?
That, like you said, goes back here in California. I think it's stopped Labor Day weekend. It, again, I would say call your council person, call your state representative, and find out what is available, if anything, for your area. Now, speaking again of California, I know they started a program where if you were at a certain amount of income, but this was for the homeowners, that they would give you a grant up to $20,000 to help you ease out if you were in forbearance where you didn't have to pay your mortgage for a certain amount of time. So a lot of the different mortgage companies will let you go into forbearance. And it wasn't a strike against your credit report or anything like that. But now even all of that is coming due. So you have to, again, not to make it not sound light of it, as they say, but you're really going to have to put in, pick up a phone and see what resources are out there for your area, for your city, and for your states.
And I don't want to not talk about the people who are owning these places, the people who own homes that are being rented, and so they're not being paid, and they're not able to pay their bills or their taxes. But there is funding for them. Mm-hmm. But some states, let's take the state of New York, this money is just sitting there and hasn't made it to the people that own the homes. It goes back to me, I think about what you said initially, whatever we can do to eliminate an expense or to save, because even though there's assistance out there, it's not getting to the people in time. Let's say somebody's I can't say doctor, let's say somebody's an attorney. Mm-hmm. And they've been skilled in this work, but different things have happened, so they're not able to do the job or find a work that's conducive to the income or that matches the income. They're not able to find work that's equivalent to what they had before. So instead of just taking a job somewhere, there are people out there that have skills and mm-hmm. they've been paid well, and their unemployment has run out, and mm-hmm. they don't have the funds anymore, but mm-hmm. they are not willing to take just any job, because that job would, they're saying when they come back to go to their profession, people are going to wonder why they took such a lower wage. And when things do open up, it will be hard for them to get the wages that they should get.
Okay, first, I would think, this is a personal choice. This mm-hmm. is each individual's personal choice. Number two, keep that sounds like one of those Joneses, keeping up with the Joneses thing. Forget about what other people are thinking. I would suggest keeping your family intact. So if this were me and I didn't have any funds coming in, regardless of what position I had before, I'm going to take a position that comes along and keep everything afloat.
Right.
And I don't mean to sound harsh, but some money versus no money, and I don't have unemployment coming in. I don't have an emergency fund. I don't know when, and then when you said, if people are going to feel some type of way because, I accepted this salary when I usually made this salary. Hey, everybody was here during COVID. So people mm-hmm. understand that concessions have been made. Employers understand that.
And what I use as an example during these conversations is the actor Jeffrey Owens, who used to work on the Cosby Show and was at Trader Joe's. Mm-hmm. And remember, they talked about him really bad. But mm-hmm. I if I was an employer and I was hiring someone, I said, if it was a person like him, I admired him. If I could have hired him and paid him, I would have hired him and paid him well. And I was so happy for those that did come in and offer him jobs, because it spoke a lot about him. It said a lot about him. And I think when we're in a time like this, we all understand. That was my thinking. That's my thinking towards credit. Hey, your credit might get messed up because you can't pay the full payment, but if you're just paying a little here and a little there, when I come to look at your finances, I'm thinking we all understand what everyone's going through during this time. So I'm looking at your character instead of just throwing it away and not paying anything. You're doing what you can do to be able to pay it.
Jacqueline, can I please say something on that? Okay, because when you start talking about that credit, that is your character. Whatever is even paying a little bit might not suffice. In that instance, if you're having issues with your credit, first of all, if you can, get with somebody that can help you repair that credit, that can show you how to repair your own credit. Not a credit repair company. I am not, not that. But unless
let me just say something here. Let me say something here on that. I just want my listeners to know that you have a lot of this on your website as to how to repair your credit. So when they go to alifeoffinancialfreedom.com, they will see step by step what to do to repair their credit.
It comes back to that telephone again. You pick up the telephone, talk to the creditor, and say, "Hey, I'm running into problems right now. Let them know your story and say, hey, I don't want to hit on my credit report. Can we send in reduced payments? Can we figure something out? If your bill is $100, don't just send $25 and say, hey, I'm paying something. No, pick up the phone and make some concessions with the debtor. So it comes to picking up that telephone and trying to work something out.
Okay. So I want to switch gears here. I want to talk about, what advice do you have for people planning for retirement?
Get that emergency fund in place. Make sure all your health, all of that good stuff is in place. Have a specific day and date that you actually want to retire. So I'm going to retire in 5 years. Narrow it down. I want to retire on February 15th, 2025. Narrow it down. And then you want to, start getting your finances in order. Well, you want them to be in order. It's a whole lot of stuff you want to do. And for me, I figured about 2 to 3 years out that, hey, I wanted to retire early. I didn't want to retire when I was 60, 62, 65. It's like I'm tired of the rat race. I'm tired of the four walls. So for me, it was making sure my emergency fund was in place. Even my website, alifeoffinancialfreedom.com. I did that a couple of years. I started that up a couple of years before I retired. I made sure my bills were in order. Anything that I could pay up and off, I did. I did little things like, instead of eating, I worked in downtown LA. Instead of going out to lunch every day, I packed my meals. I made my meals on Sunday. Little things for me added up. So it's a whole process. You want to sit down. I met with the retirement representatives on our job and, made sure, hey, I retired this month, this year, how is it going to affect everything? My pension, my this, my that, my Social Security in the future, my this, my that. So it's a whole long string of things you want to do. You want to be as prepared as possible whenever you decide to retire. So for me, retirement meant getting out of the 9 to 5. I did not retire as a multimillionaire, still working on that, multi-millions. But for me, it was worth the sacrifice to get out of the rat race, to unlock my golden handcuffs from my good, as they say, government job. It was just time to move on. But I also knew that I wanted to pursue some of my passions, my life passions. And I also wanted to do freelance work. So a lot of that stuff I started to do before I even quote unquote retired.
I know that you have a financial summit coming up. So would you tell us a little bit about that?
The summit is called Side Hustle to Wealth, and it was created in the midst of COVID, with that stimulus check. I was like, oh, I'm gonna invest in myself. And I purchased a program and put together a summit. There were 24 speakers telling different strategies that they did for side hustles and creating and building their wealth. And I decided, so the first one was last year during COVID. It was the last week of July. And the next one will be July 2022, unless we were considering playing with the date of that right now. But we're working on the one for 2022. So that's Side Hustle to Wealth. And if you follow me on Instagram, which is also a life of financial freedom, add a life of financial freedom, we keep you updated on little things like that are going on.
And I want to ask you, what would you say to encourage, inspire the listeners financially?
No matter how bleak your situation may seem, know that you can pull up out of it. Have faith and confidence that you can make it happen. And one of the things I love to remember is to have an attitude of gratitude. The attitude of gratitude will make you, it'll help you go so far in life. Sometimes I just walk through my little house and I'll just touch the wall and I'm, oh, thank you, Lord, I appreciate this house. Or some unfound money might come through and I'll just like, thank you, Lord. Thank you. But always have, or when a friend comes to see you, I just had my two nieces. One was 20, one is 11. They came to visit me for 2 weeks from Philadelphia. And I was so gracious that, I felt like, oh, they're young. This old woman, they came to hang out with me for 2 weeks. We did some of everything. I was just gracious that they felt like, oh, we want to spend some time with Aunt Sherry. So just being gracious. I just went to Africa for most of the summer, invited by a friend of mine that we've been friends for over 20 years. And I went home with her over 20 years ago. And network, people, network. You network, make friends. You cannot do anything out here alone by yourself. Embrace others.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Very, very encouraging and inspiring words. Well, let me ask you, how can people contact you?
You can contact me directly at sherry@alifeoffinancialfreedom.com. You can also follow me and DM me on Instagram, which is also at alifeoffinancialfreedom.com, and on Facebook, alifeoffinancialfreedom.com. And for your listening audience, Jacqueline, if they'll go to my website at alifeoffinancialfreedom.com/financial blueprint, they will have a host of information right in there. A lot of what we've talked about, in addition to different stuff, retirement, a side hustle, income spreadsheet, just a wealth of information in that one post.
And will they be able to download this?
Oh, definitely. They'll be able to download it as well.
Oh, great. All right. Well, Dr. Smith, thank you for appearing on the show today. Thank you for sharing with my listeners all of this good financial information.
Again, Jacqueline, I was so honored to be here, and I'll come on your show anytime you want me. Just pick up that phone and call me.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Smith. You have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.